So before we begin, I just want to acknowledge that I'm currently seated here as an invited guest on the lands of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations. I know that many of you are on the land of other nations, so if you'd like, please feel free to write those nation names in the chat. Today, this is of special importance as we are honoring the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And today after the service, my co-leader, Reverend Doralee Harrison, and I will be venturing out into Stanley Park, which is the site of the Quakwe Squamish village, to learn from an Indigenous elder of these lands. So I invite all of you to do what you can in your own communities to honor and support traditional ways. Always let us remember our connection to our siblings in these nations. May we look to them for understanding and guidance, and work and pray for the day in which you may be together in right relationship. So welcome. Welcome to Living Interfaith. Know that the whole of you is welcome here. You're not asked to leave who you are in your own homes. Please bring who you are in with you to this community today. But what you are asked to remember is that others here today have brought who they are into this community with them as well. And all of goodwill are welcome. Now we'll join together for our opening song.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come.
So now I have a few announcements. For those of you who weren't here at our last service, we've unfortunately had to part ways with our lovely managing director, Kaya Younger. But we are excited to welcome our interim managing director, Amy Warhaft. So she has been really wonderful, just kind of jumping right in and taking over the reins and sending out newsletters and getting things organized. So we're just very, very grateful to have her.
Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome. And then there are a couple of events happening tonight, Yakshagana at Navaratri 2025. So our good friend Ganesh Chandra has invited all of us to attend this unique opportunity to experience the reenactments of classic Hindu epic stories. And it takes place today from 3 to 8 p.m. at the Bell Center of Performing Arts in Surrey. And you can register at this link in the chat. Oops, wrong link. Oh, nope, that's the correct one. And also today, the Crowded Table. So that's happening tonight from 5:30 to 9 p.m. at St. Mary Magdalene Church in Vancouver. This is a new offering that I believe will be occurring monthly. It's a queer affinity space for people from any and all faith traditions to share a meal and form connections. And it's a free event, and you can register so that they know how many people are coming. And I'll put that link in the chat as well. And then on Friday, October 17th through Sunday, October 19th, the International Drag and Spirituality Summit is a first of its kind gathering focusing on the intersection of drag and spirituality. So you can join drag performers and faith leaders from around the globe for a 3-day sacred summit. And for more information or to register, you can go to the link I'm going to put in the chat now. Are there any other announcements?
Yes, I have a couple. So the first is that Women Wage Peace is hosting a series called, is it Women, Hope, and Peace, where they're going to be showing one film per month about different peace initiatives led around the world by women activists. So they'd showed two films last year, or back in the spring, but they're going to show their next film on Tuesday, October 14th. So the day after Thanksgiving. It'll be at the Center for Peace in Kitsilano. And it will be the film Nyla and the Uprising, which is about a Gazan Palestinian woman activist who was working during the first Intifada to empower women and bring peace there. So it's free, open to everybody, starts at 7 p.m. So if anyone wants to come, please come. And the second thing is, unfortunately, there was that horrible attack in Manchester on Yom Kippur, where there was a man who drove his car into worshippers outside their synagogue in Manchester, and then he also stabbed some people. And when the police arrived, they were trying to get him, and they ended up accidentally killing more worshippers. So several worshippers were killed. So there's actually a couple folks in the local Christian community who've reached out to synagogues to see if they would appreciate some additional support, like some security detail, folks standing outside synagogues, kind of helping bolster security and also increasing our interfaith connection. Someone reached out to me because I have lots of contacts and asked if I could be a part of that. And I said yes. So I reached out to a bunch of local rabbis, and they really appreciated the thought. They found it really heartwarming that people were concerned and wanted to step up in this way. So at Temple Shalom, which is in the Marpole area, around 57th and Oak, they said if anyone wants to come either on a Friday evening, their services are at 8 p.m., or next Saturday, or a coming Saturday, their services start at 10. So I know it's the same time as this, but Friday night is not. And then anyone who wants to come in for prayers is most welcome, or if you want to come in for food afterwards. And they just really appreciate the sentiment. So if anyone is interested in that, please reach out to me and I can connect you. Thank you.
Thanks, Kat.
I also wanted to let people know that the next Repair Cafe in Vancouver will be coming Saturday, October 11th at the Kitsilano Community Center. It runs from 9:30 to 1:30, and you can bring items that we'll repair for free. It's generally like small appliances, electronics, bikes, and textiles, but you can bring other things too, and we'll give it a shot. So maybe I volunteer at those, and maybe I'll see some of you there next week.
Thanks, Samir. I thought I'd just mention as well that the 2025 Provincial Restorative Justice Symposium will be taking place on October 22nd and 23rd at the Hilton Vancouver Metrotown in Burnaby. So I'll be attending. I know Norm through the Restorative Collective Vancouver, so he's very involved in the restorative justice movement here. So I'm very excited to attend and to learn, and hopefully share that with those who can't attend. Will you be there, Norm? But I'll just put the link for that in the chat. Okay, so now we're going to come together for our opening prayer. I'm going to share a prayer song from Chief Dan George, who was the chief of the Tsleil-Waututh Nation, whose home and grandmother is the Burrard Inlet. And this version is sung by Gordon Dick of the Tsleil-Waututh Nation, along with some choir students to whom he taught the song. So I'll play that for us now.
Hilo
Now I'll turn it over to Dorley for our candle lighting prayer.
Thank you, Rachel. Good morning, everyone. This morning's candle lighting prayer comes from Wendy McLean of the United Church of Canada. Holy One, child of life, great spirit, we meet you in the company of ancestors and the oft unnoticed presence of people praying throughout the country, connected by a longing for peace and healing. Find our hearts open and ready for reconciliation as we face the injustices of the past and long for the joy of a future of peace and healing. Help us to attend well to the stories we need to receive. Awaken our hearts with the stories of residential school survivors and their kin. Together we weep for the children then and now, for braids, beads, new moccasins, and the orange shirt taken away, leaving only broken hearts. For parents whose hearts were torn from them when their children were taken, and for children whose tongues were silenced when they lost their languages and names. Awaken our spirit, O God. Help us to hold the stories faithfully so that they may transform us and become part of us. May our prayers be translated into compassion, and may our Amen be this truth. Our Indigenous brothers, sisters, and siblings, we receive your stories. May they lead us in wisdom, and may we journey together in love. What we say.
Now I invite you all to unmute yourselves and offer a sign of peace. So peace, everybody.
Peace, everyone.
everyone.
Navapa.
Peace be with
Peace.
you all.
Assalamu alaikum.
Peace to
Peace.
all.
Peace.
Peace, everyone.
Now Bruce is going to offer another song.
A song from the New Hawk Nation. Oh, great Spirit, how I long to hear your name. How I long to see your face. Away, hi, ho, away, hi, ho, away, hi, hi, ho. Oh, great Spirit, how I long to touch your hands. How I long to see your face. Away, hi, ho, away, hi, ho, away, hi, hi, ho. Away, hi, ho, away, hi, ho, away, hi, hi, ho. Away, hi, ho, away, hi, ho, away, hi, hi, ho.
Now I invite you all to join me in reading our joint affirmation. We come together in peace. We sing together in joy and with love. We worship together in one house, a house with names beyond number. Our paths are many, our beliefs are as leaves, and the tree that we cleave to is nourished by the light of compassion, justice, and mutual respect. May our lives, our beliefs, and our actions help to bring about the world of love we all seek, and let it begin here. So now I'm going to invite you to join me in some time for meditation and prayer. So just find a comfortable seat. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes or look at a spot in the distance or on the floor. I invite you to take some deep breaths with me this morning. In through the nose. Hold it for a few seconds and release it out through the mouth. In through the nose. Hold it for a few seconds and release it out through the mouth. In through the nose. Hold it for a few seconds and release it out through the mouth. And as you continue to breathe regularly, maybe you feel some gratitude for this air that is always here, that the trees provide us, that we often take for granted, this clean air here in Vancouver. Maybe feel any tension that you're still holding in your body. Roll your shoulders back a few times. If some part of your body feels like it needs a stretch, maybe give it that. And feel yourself here, present with all of us, seated on this common ground that we call the earth. And from this place of groundedness, I invite you to pray in silence for whatever's on your heart this morning. Thank you. Now Bruce has another song for us.
A song by William Prince from the Peguis First Nation in Manitoba. Sing along. Sing it again. May your love be pure like an eagle. Wisdom may under every stone you turn. Let truth be your key to freedom and bind you to the path that holds the light. We're the reason that there's 7 sins and teachings. Each one can wake the other out. Life is 2 wolves, good and evil, who you feeding? Tell me, are you in or are you out? Oh, be honest and honor each other. Make a promise that you'll have to break. Have forgiveness when there's only hatred. Stand up for goodness sake. May your mind be vast like the ocean. Salvage the lesson from each storm you survive. Let honesty lead you across the sea. Forever keep you on the current that carries the light. And in this world that's growing older faster, humility will keep your spirit young. When you're looking far into the future, don't forget how far you've already come. Sing it again. May your strength be abundant, everlasting. Joy bring peace to your life. Surrender your heart to the seven. And keep to the path that holds the light. 'Cause in this world that's growing older faster, humility will keep your spirit young. When you're looking far into the future, don't forget how far you've already come. May your love be pure like an eagle. Wisdom be under every stone you turn. Let truth be your key to freedom and bind you to the path that holds the light.
Thank you, Bruce. That was so fun. I feel energized. So now is the time we going to stop the recording and invite you to unmute yourselves and share whatever's on your hearts this morning. So now's the time we invite you all to join in sharing our wealth. Many of you already donate. As you know, our community relies entirely on donations to fund our small budget, which goes to pay our amazing managing director, Amy, and as well as our musicians and our speakers. Fortunately, it's a very small budget given that we are on Zoom, but we do rely on you all to help make it happen. So thank you. I'll put the link for donations in the chat. And then I'll invite Bruce to lead us in another song.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
So now it's my joy and honor to welcome my friend and mentor, Norm Leech. Norm speaks widely on intergenerational trauma due to colonization. He grew up in East Vancouver with ancestry in the Tliticut community of the St'át'imc Nation, where he has served as chief and also administrator. He draws on his experiences as a recovering alcoholic and addict, intergenerational survivor, and spiritual explorer to inform his current work, which includes several boards and committees. I've had the pleasure of knowing Norm for the past couple of years as a core leader of Vancouver's Restorative City Initiative, as well as a wise teacher of Indigenous land-based approaches to trauma and healing. So it's my pleasure to welcome you, Norm.
Thank you very much, Rachel. A pleasure and an honor to be invited to share some of the things I've learned and been taught over the past mainly 10 years, maybe a dozen, and a lot of the other things I've learned through my life experience. So I'll say, guess what? Norman Leech and Squatchy Chat. Tlitlit Mukhan, Shlatli Mukhan, Amati at Khan Junus Anna. So I say hello, or we're here together, friends and relatives. And it's my name is Norm Leech, and I'm from Tlitlit of the St'át'imc Nation. And it's very good to see you all here today. And I've been asked to speak about truth and reconciliation. And of course, that comes out of the experience of Indigenous people in so-called Canada, and especially in British Columbia. Like the first explorer through here was Simon Fraser, and this is where my ancestors have lived for more than 10,000 years. But Simon Fraser came through in 1808, which is barely 200 years ago. And so for 10,000 years, we managed everything. The forests, the salmon, the river, the mountain, everything. And again, this goes for Indigenous people across the continent. So having control and responsibility for everything for 10,000 years, and it was pretty good. In fact, it was fantastic. The forests were the biggest on the planet. The salmon runs were the biggest on the planet. The caribou herds, the buffalo herds, everything was beyond the imagination of the explorers when they arrived, because of the good work of the people, because of our understanding of what it means to be human beings on this planet, which is very different from the explorers, their understanding of what it means. And so the name of the day is Truth and Reconciliation. But from our experience, it hasn't been a lot about the truth, because Canada's history, or version of the history, is very different from ours. So I've spent a dozen years understanding the history, because before I worked at the neighborhood house, I worked at the Aboriginal Community Policing Center. And we worked with the urban Indigenous community in the downtown East Side, Vancouver. And there's 70,000 Indigenous people living in the greater Vancouver area. And most of them aren't from here. They're from everywhere else. So they're far from home, and far from community, and far from their culture, and even further from their ancestors, their ancestral ways. And so we've been trying to adapt to these new ways. And we've tried, and we've tried, and we've tried, and we've tried, and they still don't work for us. And as far as we can see, they don't work for hardly anybody anymore. So in trying to help the people, especially the people in downtown East Side Vancouver, and where I spent many years, we've drawn on the things that work. And the techniques that have worked best for us are land-based and reconnecting with culture, with community, with ancestors, with the land. And so many have heard of Dr. Gabor Mate, who says that the solution to trauma is connection. and the source of trauma is disconnection. And of course, he learned all that from working in the downtown East Side with us. So this is not new to us. We understand it and we know that it works. But it's maybe rooted in, you may have heard Indigenous people use the term all my relations. That means all my friends and relatives. But it applies to way more than just people. The colonized worldview of friends and relatives only applies to people generally, maybe pets. But we know that, to me, it means all my relationships with everything, everywhere, every when. So that also informs, someone noticed my acronym, or my pronouns are we, us. And that is a reflection of that. That is an understanding that we are part of. We are part of our family. We're part of our community. We're part of this circle. We're part of the land. We're part of this earth. We're part of this solar system. We are part of this universe. We are not separate from any of it. And that is a fundamental difference between a colonized worldview and an uncolonized worldview. Colonized worldview starts with the individual. I think, therefore I am. That each of us is separate. And ultimately, each of us is alone in here. I am in here. Everything else is not I. And that means I am alone in here. And you are all alone in there. And in that universe, everyone is alone. And if you consider the hardest times of your life, the greatest challenges you've faced, the scariest times, and if you had to face those alone, they are much, much harder. But if you are with and beside and part of, then we can face just about anything. So that is a fundamental difference that I don't know that can be reconciled. Because this world view that has been imposed on us does not make sense to us. Because it is way out of balance. And maybe that's one thing we can all agree on, that this world is out of balance. And our understanding of our role here as human beings is to notice when things are out of balance, to notice that someone is hurting, that someone needs help, that the forest, the salmon need help. They're getting out of balance. And then we've also received these many other gifts to restore and maintain the balance of all things. So we, and I try to introduce people to this idea through the land acknowledgement that I do, where I acknowledge the land itself first, because the land was here first. And the land was here for billions of years before humans were here. And we never considered the land as our property. The land is actually our relative. She's our ancestor. She's our greatest grandmother. And she has gifted us everything that we've ever eaten or drank or used as medicine or shelter has been a gift from her to our ancestors and us forever. So when someone gifts you everything you ever needed forever, that's the definition of love. So we know in every cell and molecule of our bodies that we are loved. And that's almost what it means to be born a human on this planet. You must be loved because you get to be a human being on Earth. And it's what I called it, the lottery win of the universe, because you get that body, you get that mind, you get that heart, you get the opportunity to experience all these things of being a human being on this planet. This is the greatest planet that we know of. And so you get the opportunity to experience as much of it as you can. The food, the people, the friendship, the love, the laughter, the joy, the pleasure, yes, even the grief and the sadness and the heartache and the fear. But what a journey we get, and we get it for a little bit of time. And as far as we understand, all we're really supposed to do is take care of the place. But someone somehow, and we did for thousands of years, and we understood that we have the gifts of intellect, of creativity, of our many, many, many senses to notice the imbalance, and then also have the additional gifts of being able to use those gifts of dexterity, of ingenuity, of mobility, of to restore and maintain the balance of all things, not just people, everything, the salmon, the river, the mountain, the trees. So that's what makes sense to us. But we've had to survive, and survival was not always a given for us. The diseases that came with colonization and exploration wiped out probably somewhere between 80 and 99% of the population without ever seeing an explorer, because those diseases, those pathogens, and there were dozens, were lethal and fatal to us. We had zero immunity to any of them. The cold killed us, the flu killed us. And we were probably this close to extinction. But a few survived. And they must have been amazing to survive all that. And so they did. And they survived, and they decided to stay when it probably looked like the Creator was telling them it's time for you to get out of the way. Because that's probably what it must have felt like, to feel like this is not going well. 400 years of death and dislocation and desperation and laws and residential schools and reserves. But those few survived, and they must have been pretty tough and smart and fast and maybe even mean to survive all that. But I have to be grateful for their perseverance, because every Indigenous person alive today is descended from them. So in fact, we are selected for survival. So we have proven that we can survive pretty much anything. And now all we have to do is heal it. And we're proving we can do that too. And the methods that work best for us actually work best for everybody, because we are not the first people to be colonized on this planet. We're more like closer to the last. And so I remind everybody that you also have a family history that goes back somewhere, many generations, maybe 10, maybe 20, maybe 30, where you have ancestors who lived in one place for more than 1,000 years. And they had a relationship with that land, where they loved that land, and they knew everything about that land, and they cared for that land for thousands of years. And they knew that that land must love them too, because it gave them everything that they ever needed or wanted. But then something happened along the way to force your ancestors to have to leave those lands. And what was that? Was that war? Was it pandemic? Was it famine? Was it colonization? And was that traumatic for your ancestors to be separated from their original grandmother? And have you been feeling that disconnection, that sense of loss, that emptiness of not understanding your connection to your original places? And that's almost the definition of colonization, is to separate the original people from their original land. But we're learning how to heal it. And so it's working. We're doing the work. We're teaching other people how to change their relationship with trauma. And through that, you can change your relationship with everything, with each other, with the land, with your ancestors, with the universe. So if it boils down to two words, an uncolonized or an indigenous way of being, I would characterize it as, in its simplest forms, it's to listen and to help. But that's not enough, because to listen implies that it's just with your ears. And to help, most people equate that to helping each other. But it goes beyond. So it's a better word is notice, to notice imbalance, to notice something is out of sync, out of balance. And we have many, many senses to do that. And more than just the five that colonized systems try to convince you that you only have five senses, but we have way more. And one of them is a sense of connection. So to notice, how are things? How is your body in there? How stressed are you? How much pressure is now being applied? How much trauma is coming at us constantly from the world? And then, so those are one of the gifts that we've received, the many ways of noticing, and the many, many senses, the sense of time, sense of direction, sense of justice, sense of humor, sense of connection. And there are many more. So those are some of our greatest gifts we've received as humans. And the other gifts are our ability to help. But to help, it's much more than just help, it's transform. We have the gifts of transformation to transform our way of thinking, to transform our perspective, to transform the world around us. We have the ability to improve things or make it worse. And that's the gifts that we have, to notice the imbalance and to transform the balance back towards balance, or to transform the imbalance. And this modern world is so far out of balance. The wealth inequity, the racism, the discrimination, the many isms of Islamophobia, of the religious divisions, the separations, the isolations, the conflicts. So to go beyond listen and help, to notice and transform. And that describes the lives that I see the elders at home living without speaking of it that way. Because in my trying to make sense of what is the culture of the conflict of culture that leads to Indigenous people leading every negative social health indicator measured in this country. Why is it that way? It's because of the difference in worldview. And I don't know that they can be reconciled. But I also understand that they're affecting everybody now. That they don't serve hardly anybody in a good way anymore. These rules that have been created, these systems that have been created, these institutions that don't seem to be able to change. So, I promote the idea of notice and transform. And that allows us to change our relationship with trauma. And through that, understand that it's not ours. And also have ways of setting it down so that we don't have to carry it around and it doesn't stay in our bodies. Each of us carries our stress and our tension and our pressures and our fears and our griefs in our body. And you probably have an idea where in your body you store it, whether it's in your shoulders and neck, your chest, your throat, your jaw, your lower back, in your gut. And we pick it up all the time, every day. because it helps. It helps our families, it helps our friends, it helps our clients, it helps our colleagues. And so we take a little bit because it's our nature, because we want to help. And so we do, and it does help. But did anyone ever teach you how to set it down? No, but we know how. And so we're healing all those things. And probably the biggest thing we have to learn to heal is the traumas of colonization. But you have them too. Yours just started further back and further away. And so the more we notice what works for us, and then notice that it also works for the people who are our allies and our friends and our supporters, then we understand that it's the shared birthright of being humans on Earth that can actually connect us and help us share purpose and to restore the balance of all things on this planet. And to share what we've learned over 10,000 years, how to live in balance with the land. And hopefully in time, before this Earth says, well, we have had enough and we are going to cause a change and we're going to start again. Because the Earth did fine for billions of years without us. And in another 10,000 years, the Earth will be fine again. Either because we figured it out and we changed our ways and we learned how to live in balance on this planet, or we didn't. And we're gone and proved that we never deserved the shot in the first place. So to me, it's kind of straightforward and simple. I get asked to speak to many events, and one of them was my Muslim brothers invited me to speak at a Earth Day that day was titled "Saving Our Planet," and I thought, okay, that's even for humans, that's pretty arrogant, and humans are the most arrogant creature in the universe. So we're saving whose planet? Oh, our planet. Okay. So we've claimed ownership of this planet. It's like fleas owning a dog. And we're going to save it. From who? Oh, from ourselves. And I said, actually, this event should be called Saving Our Asses, because that's what we're trying to do from ourselves. But I'm just thrilled to have the conversation, to be invited to share a little bit of what I've learned. There's so much more, but hopefully that's enough to make this a beginning and not an end. Because the conversation requires continual learning and sharing. And that's what these are, is an opportunity to begin. So I think hopefully that's gives you a little bit of where I come from and how I view things, and an invitation to continue the conversation beyond today. So thank you for inviting me. Happy to share.
Thank you so much, Norm. So much wisdom there. I wish I could take your understanding and just like inject it into everybody I work with in the hospital. And I'm sure anyone who works in helping professions feels the same way because it's so needed right now. Yeah. So we're going to have a closing song. Bruce will lead us in that, and a closing prayer. And then whoever can stick around, Norm, if you have a little time, we might have a question and answer session after. Great. So over to you, Bruce.
It's a song by Dana Lynn Seaborn. She's a Red River Métis musician, singer, songwriter who lives on Vancouver Island. shines a light along the way. It makes the night as bright as day. And everywhere I go is home. And every time I call the name, it brings me joy when there was pain. I know my life's not lived in vain. I'm not alone. Sometimes when I'm traveling down this long, wondrous road, I find that there are times I seem to carry quite a load. When I feel alone and so far from home, and I fear that I will fall, I stop because I know just who to call. I know that every time I pray, it shines a light along the way. It makes the night as bright as day. And everywhere I go is home. And every time I call the name, it brings me joy where there was pain. I know my life's not lived in vain. I'm not alone. When the day grows darker with the coming of the night, my strength begins to fail and I grow weary of the fight. When I'm losing hope and can't seem to cope, and I fear I won't get through, I stop because I know just what to do. I know that every time I pray, it shines a light along the way. It makes the night as bright as day. And everywhere I go is home. And every time I call the name, it brings me joy where there was pain. I know my life's not lived in vain. I'm not alone. I know my life's not lived in vain. I'm not alone. I know my life's not lived in vain. I'm not alone.
Thank you, Bruce, for that beautiful and very apt closing song. Now, please join me in our closing prayer. Spirit of life, as we close our time together this morning, help us to carry the wisdom of the teachings we've listened to today. Help us to move beyond listening and helping and begin to notice and transform. Let us be open to transformation. Work through us to undo the harm of colonization and create space for true reconciliation and healing. May it be so.